Good morning. Welcome to Convertible Conversations. I'm in a little strange setting today, at least different from where I normally am. I'm actually in my bedroom at home, and you'll see why in just a minute. Recently, because of these convertible conversations, I was able to reconnect with an old friend of mine who was the first person I met when I joined the Kansas National Guard Band in April of 1970. That was a few years ago. When I joined, I was a private. We called it Private Slick Sleeve because there wasn't even any rank we had no rank. Literally all we had the first day we were given a uniform like this was our name tag. So I joined and I was the lowest one on the totem pole. Right away I go to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and all of my superiors would continually just humiliate me and harass me and put me down and yell at me, and they were just always telling me what I was doing wrong, and I knew that I was always being watched. Well, I finished my 8 weeks of basic training, and then I went to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, where I became a member of the band there. By that time, I had a little bit higher rank, not much. I was a private first class, and I was a trumpet player, and I got to play in the band and everything, but because I was the newest person and the lowest ranked person in the band, I was given all the things to do that nobody else wanted to do, clean the toilets and all kinds of other things like that. And I was always fearful because somebody was always watching me and looking over my shoulder, just getting ready to yell at me. I had to salute everybody else and all that. Well, I finished my 2 months there. I went back home to civilian life and started my life as a member of the 42nd National Guard Band, the Kansas National Guard Band. But again, I was the lowest ranking person there. So I was always watched, always fearful, had to defer to everybody. But then something happened. Within just a few short months, I was promoted, and I was actually appointed the commanding officer of the band. I became the highest ranking person in the Kansas National Guard band program. I became instantly an officer. I had this new uniform that was completely different. So you can see why I'm in the bedroom now. All of a sudden I had a uniform that conveyed authority and rank. I had bars on my shoulder. I had all kinds of other things. People now had to salute me, and I no longer had to be the lowest person on a totem pole. But for a while, I really didn't catch on. I didn't realize who I was or what my authority was. I still thought of myself as wearing this private uniform and being the lowest person on the totem pole. Well, there was no longer actually any record of me being a private. I had a whole new identity, whole new folders, whole new personnel file, all that kind. Everything that I had done as Private Gray no longer mattered. Literally, my Army past no longer mattered. It had no bearing on who I was now. And that reminds me of a Bible verse that I want to read to you. It's 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. Now, in the light of your co-inclusion in Jesus' death and resurrection, whoever you thought you were before, now in Christ, you are a brand new person. The old way of seeing yourself and everyone else are over. So acquaint yourself with the new. Well, for a while, I would still think back like I was a private in the National Guard, and I would think people were watching me and keeping a record of all my mistakes and stuff. And I had to do this sort of change of mindset. I had to renew my mind into who I really was now. Now, did those things that happened to me as a private, did they actually happen? Well, yeah, they happened, but they were no longer a reality. There was literally no longer record of any of those. I, all of a sudden, was an officer, the commanding officer. People had to respect me and salute me and call me sir or chief or Mr. Gray and that type of thing. Well, that's a great picture of what our life is, just our whole life here on earth. Nothing in our past, nothing bad in our past matters. Because of what Jesus did at the cross for us, he took care of anything and everything on our old record that might be offensive to God. It's just, the slate was just totally wiped clean. And once I started to realize now as a human being, as a Christian, as a Christ follower, who I was able, like I was in the Army, to hold my head higher and walk straighter and no longer worry about, am I right with God or is God after me or anything like that. I still had my old sort of before Christ uniform in the closet, if you would, and I could put that on from time to time and act like somebody that I was no longer, but I had that choice. And we each one of you has that option today. As new creations in Christ, you can choose to wear your old uniform of lies and separation and exclusion and not measuring up and having to work to get right with God. Or you can put on your new uniform every day and hold your head high and throw your shoulders back and realize you are a son or a daughter of God. You are in Christ. You are a new creation. He's done everything for you. He's wiped the slate clean, and not only clean, He's given you a whole new slate, a whole new uniform. You're a co-heir with Christ. You're part of God's family. You're part of the kingdom. You're exclusively chosen by Him. You're a new creation, and you have God's DNA. So I hope today that you'll remember, and every day, as I want to do myself, remember your new identity in Christ. It's a really much better way to live. Tomorrow I'm going to have a little special video for you that shows more about having your slate wiped clean. So thanks for listening. See you next time.